Hi, welcome to Sweet Dreams Wellness Travel. I am Barbara Tuckett, your host, and the owner of Sweet Dreams Travel. I am a wellness travel specialist. I believe that our mind, body, and spirit all play into our well-being, and I create travel experiences which improve your wellness so that you return from your vacation with more health, more happiness, and more connection, both with those you've traveled with and also with your destination. In these episodes, I explore travel and wellness experiences, giving you ideas and recommendations, and also interviewing people who have firsthand experience of the places where you may want to go next. Welcome, let's get started. Hi, this is episode number 26. And today I get to talk about Hawaii. And I am really excited to have a good friend of mine and a client who just returned from Hawaii. This is Michele Hardman. Hi, Michele.
Hi, Barbara.
It's so good to see you and to get to talk to you. I'm excited because there's a lot of people right now who are really interested in going to Hawaii, but they're also kind of scared because they don't know about all the procedures and everything. So we are going to talk through some of those and help people know what they should expect and kind of what they can and can't do while they're there. So,
all righty.
Okay. So first of all, Michele, to start off, what do you think, which aspect of wellness do you think that this trip helped you with?
I would say R&R, relaxation. Who doesn't relax when they're in paradise? I love nature myself. So anytime I get to be outside, that's health and wellness for me. We went on a great hike to the waterfalls. We were on Oahu, and that was probably one of my funnest things that I did, just to swim and be in nature and take pictures of the flowers and hear the birds singing. And who doesn't want to be in paradise?
Yeah, that is perfect. That is perfect. So awesome. Yeah. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and talk about planning the trip. What kind of a trip was this? Who did you go with? Why did you want to go? Let's just set the groundwork for what you were doing.
Okay, it was a business retreat with 8 women, and we had done a big event that we had spent a lot of time and effort on, and decided we wanted to go party and just have a fun time. Vibrant Living is all about health and wellness. That's what we do. We put on retreats as well and events. And so we actually were going to look at some places to put on retreats or places that we could rent or whatever. And so that was the goal of why we were going and having a little retreat ourselves. And so, yeah, it was amazing. Hawaii is a great place. Who doesn't want to go to Hawaii?
It's so wonderful. It is so wonderful. So when you first started planning, you knew that you wanted to be on Oahu because you were kind of scouting out locations for future places for retreats and things. So we knew right there, we just narrowed it down to Oahu right from the beginning.
Right.
Some people don't know which island, but you already knew that. And you knew how many people you would have within 1 or 2.
Yep. And we already kind of had scoped out a few places, Barbara, of where we were thinking about going. And so when it started coming together, I knew I didn't want to be the one in charge of booking it or collecting all the money, all that kind of good stuff. And I kind of got put in charge of it, which I wasn't planning on. And so, of course, I'm going to call you to say, hey, you just take care of all that stuff for me, because I didn't want to. Right. And you were great on getting that all put together. I don't like to be in charge of the money. And why wouldn't I go to an expert like you who does that for your business? I'm not really qualified to know how to do all of that. And so, it worked out perfect to just have you do all that for me. Yeah. And they were willing to pay the little bit of extra or whatever to have you do that. That was fine with all the girls. And so, it made the headache not be mine. Right.
Took that all off your plate and you didn't have to worry about any of it. So,
right. That was easy. So
that was great. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit with where you were going to stay, but we found you a great place on the North Shore. I want to have you talk about that, in a little bit. and really get some good details. But we did find you a good place, and that worked out good. So but let's go back to flights. Let's start with like the very beginning. Oh, well, actually, once we got everything scheduled, then it was just the lead up to the trip. And let's talk about getting the testing, because right now, and hopefully they will lift this fairly soon, but right now they are requiring that everybody who goes to Hawaii is COVID tested, and it's not just any old COVID test. So talk us through the COVID testing process.
Okay. I will say at first I was a little bit overwhelmed, not happy about it. And so were some of the other ladies. That was my first COVID test that I had to experience. And so it just wasn't a real, but once I got on and read all through all the information that you provided, it was pretty simple. It was just deciding where I was going to get it done. I decided the Walgreens was the best. It was a drive-through. They just handed it to me. I signed up for the time. There was a little bit of trickiness on that because they open it up and there's a time slot. And if you don't get on, like the first day it opens up, which it opens up for 3 or 4 days or whatever. If you don't get on, you don't get your time slot.
Right.
And I think lots more people are traveling, and the prices were really good. We got great flight prices. And so I think there were a lot of people going to Hawaii, maybe at that time, I'm not sure, but once I did get on, I did find a time slot. I had to drive a little bit farther. It wasn't right here in Bountiful to get the test, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And the test was slick. And at the end, I thought that was stupid. I don't know why I stressed about that. It really wasn't that big of a deal once I read the information of what I needed to do. So I guess my biggest thing to tell everybody is find out when the time slots open so that you can get a time that works for you, because it has to be done within that 72 hours.
Right.
So that was the biggest stress, was just making sure that I got it done in the timing that I wanted, so that I wasn't stressed about getting the results back. And actually, those results came back 45 minutes after I took the test. It just dinged on my phone, told me that it was negative, and I was good to go. And I expected to have to wait 24 hours. But at the one in Ogden, in North Ogden, they must have the testing right there. They must be able to test it right there, because 45 minutes later, I had the results.
Yeah.
So, So it went pretty well. It was good.
Good. Yeah. And that is the biggest thing. You have to have a negative COVID test from one of Hawaii's trusted partners, they call them. And so there's only certain places. Walgreens is one of them. CVS is another. But the tests are pretty simple, but you do have to jump through those hoops of getting on.
And I did not have to pay for it.
Right.
I didn't have to pay for it. It was free.
Yeah. So that hopefully people don't feel extremely stressed about that, because that shouldn't be a reason not to go. It's just something to think
Absolutely.
about.
It was worth it. Yeah. And then as far as getting to the airport, they just want you to bring it up on your phone that proves that you had it to show the test score or whatever. So that wasn't a big deal. That wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. As long as you have the results, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and flights, was there anything on the flight? Were flights pretty standard? Of course, everyone still has to mask at airports and on the flights. Was there anything particular that came up that you wanted?
No, I actually used points to fly, which is the first time I've ever used points, which was awesome. The only thing is I didn't have my seat assignment, but I just got my seat assignment when I got to the airport. Not a big deal. Ended up, they put me right by one of my friends. So it worked out perfectly fine. We did have, one of the gals was bringing her daughter who has a little bit of autistic, and she knew that Lexi would not wear her mask. So she just showed up a little bit earlier to be able to get that clearance through the airport for Lexi not to have to wear a mask. That wasn't that big of a deal. We just did that as we were, getting our boarding pass type thing. So no, things are pretty quick and slick. It really, there wasn't much problem with the airport at all. On the way home, they switched the gate. So I didn't realize they'd switched the gate on us from the time we gotten our boarding pass to getting down to the gate, but no big deal.
Right.
Things went well at the airport. They now have all the seats full. There's no middle seat empty. So the flight was completely full, which was fine. Who cares? I mean, we're just happy to go. So No, everything went smoothly with the air flight. So yeah.
But it is interesting if people are thinking, oh, nobody's going anywhere. That's not true.
It's not true. You should be very busy, Barbara, because people are starting to travel again.
They are. So
yep.
Okay. And then car rental, picking up you had a couple car rentals that you were picking up. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Car rental, we thought we had it pretty well taken care of. We had two gals that were flying in from out of Utah that just, one went with us, but the one from Washington met us there, and then she waited in line. It's about an hour, maybe hour, 20-minute wait to get the cars, but then she got there and didn't have her credit card. You do have to have a regular credit card, not a debit card. Don't ever think that you can rent a car with a debit card. They won't let you do that. So beware. Just know if somebody's renting a car, it has to be an official credit card, not a debit card. But yeah, things were well with the car. There was a little, I guess, an accident. They didn't come and look at the car. Oftentimes they'll come check the car, and make sure there's any bumps and scrapes.
Right.
They did not do that. They were so busy that he did not come out. He just handed me the thing and said, here's the car. And I think someone ran into us in a parking lot that I'm like, I don't think that was there. It wasn't a big deal. But what they did is just put it on her insurance, the driver, and the driver's name and her insurance. And I don't know what happened with that. But whatever. So maybe I would suggest, even if they're busy, that you have one of the workers come out and look at the car prior to. Typically they do that. They didn't. So that would have been helpful with the situation. We didn't get their car insurance. We opted not to do that. We didn't want to pay the extra. So, it'll work out. I'm sure it will.
Right.
Other than that, the cars, I didn't return the car because a couple of us stayed a little bit longer. So I wasn't the one who returned the car, but all was well with that. And we had a great time. We were glad we had the vehicles and, So it was great.
That is great.
And it was nice that you had it all worked out for us. I did not do that. You did all that and just gave us the info. And from the airport, we just got on the shuttle to get over to the rent-a-car place. So not a big deal. It was swift. It went well.
Yeah. Other than car rentals are crazy right now because there's such a shortage of cars out there. And so they just have long lines and they're busy and,
Right. And it was a little tiny lot. They didn't have they didn't have a ton of cars. And so it wasn't but I was very grateful. We wouldn't have been able to get a car had we not reserved it. There's no way.
Right.
So you want to reserve your car for sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's go on. And now we'll get to the really fun part where we get to talk about where you stayed. So you stayed over on the North Shore, and tell us about, it was basically a 3-bedroom condo villa type place.
It was. And there were supposed to originally be 9 of us women and then Lexi. So you helped out online. We didn't see that there were 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms available. We were looking at the 2 bedrooms. So grateful that you were able to call and get that worked out. There's no way I could have worked that out on my own. So it's grateful that you did that. It had 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. And this particular villa that we were in at Turtle Bay was different than a lot of the villas. It was kind of off next to the ones that all faced the pool, but we had our own walkout private grass. This one building just had this grass. We were on the bottom level, and we looked at the ocean. The ocean was right there. Little hop, skip, and a jump over this little tiny rock wall. And we were right there it wasn't the Turtle Bay side. It was, there was lava rock and stuff. So we weren't sandy beach to the ocean, but oh my goodness, we went out every morning and went on a walk and just had our own private little beach area right there. Probably because it's just barely picking up. Not a lot of people were there. Right. I can't say that it would be that way in prime season time. There'd probably be more people, but no, it was beautiful. The villa was awesome. We had a couple of problems. The one day we came home and the fridge, there was water on the floor, and I had the lady's name and number, and all I had to do was call her. I ended up calling her a couple of times. and they answered really well. If they didn't answer, it was after hours, I just left a message and they got back with me the next morning or whatever. So very good with their accommodations of them getting, I felt very noticed. It wasn't like, if there was a problem, they called me back. And so, yeah, it was a beautiful place. I would go back there in a heartbeat. And if we decided to do another retreat, I'd request that same building. That was awesome. It really, really was
such a good location.
And the pool was delightful. The golf course is right close by. There's walking path. I mean, the whole place was amazing. Good. So yeah, I would go back there in a heartbeat. It was way fun.
Yes. So. Yeah. And they're not part of the actual Turtle Bay Hotel, but they are called Turtle Bay Villas, and they're just kind of off to the side there.
And I think they're privately owned. And so if there's somebody that wants to rent it out, I think that's how you arrange that for that one. Yes. We talked to several of the people that live there, that live in the condos. The hotel right now is under construction. That wasn't a big deal. Other than the parking was a little bit, you had to kind of wind around because they've got it blocked off for construction with the hotel. But no, it was beautiful. Great time. Yeah, it was nice. It was a great venue.
Good. That's great. So just a little bit about your stay. Maybe tell us one or two of the highlights while you were there. You already mentioned a hike that was really fun. Anything else you did that you loved?
Well, the nice part about being on the North Shore is you're right close to Polynesian Culture Center. That's a big venue that lots of people like to go to. There were 3 of us that decided to go. You helped us book those tickets. It was nice to have those tickets prior to. I don't know if we would have been able to just show up.
They're totally sold out like a month or two in advance right now.
And they had just barely opened, maybe 2 weeks prior to us getting there. So they're still doing the COVID stuff of sitting every other row and masks. You had to wear masks and stuff. But I assume that that's going to be opening up pretty soon, that you're not going to have to do that. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, it was divine. It's also close to the peninsula. So we made a drive out to the peninsula that's right there on the North Shore. Actually looked at a house that possibly we might do some retreats at. And then the temple grounds are right close by there if you're wanting to see the LDS temple. So no, that's a perfect venue. And it is not crowded over that way. There's not skyscrapers like Waikiki. It's beautiful and green. And, it was a great place. We loved it. And then we also drove, there were plenty of shrimp trucks around. We only used 1 tank of gas the whole 6 days we were there. So everything that we went to was close. We didn't even have to fill up our tank before, except to fill it up to take it back to the airport. So everything was within 10, 15, 20 minute drive. That's a great place. I've never actually stayed up there on the North Shore. And so I would do it again. If I'm going to go to Oahu, that's where I would go for sure.
Because it's such a great place to stay. It feels like the original traditional Hawaii kind of feel, way more laid back and relaxed and green.
Right. Yeah. The last 5 days I did stay in my girlfriend's timeshare right there on Waikiki Beach at the Hilton. And that was nice, but not the typical normal paradise Hawaii that you're thinking of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not a private beach, not buildings galore. Like, no, not the typical Hawaii that you're thinking of. But
you're in a city at the beach.
Yep. That's what you are. So yeah, no, it was a bit, I'm right back there right now, just talking about it. It's so much fun. Can I go back tomorrow? Yes.
That's so great. That's so great. Well, so are there any last minute recommendations or anything that you would tell people if they're getting ready to go to Hawaii?
Pack a beach bag and your flip flops and your swimsuit and sunscreen. Get a little bit of sun before you go.
Yes.
Grab some girlfriends. That's what we do with my group of friends is we are doing health and wellness retreats. That's what we're about. And so to be able to pull that off together, and I kind of took charge. I kind of got put in charge, but then I organized it and it went very well because you did your part and I didn't have to worry about all that stuff that I didn't want to worry about, And so it made it quick and smooth and slick. I'm sure I'll use you again on the next retreat for sure, Barb, because it's a lot to put on a retreat. It really, really is. And if you don't have to do, I personally didn't have to do all that headache stuff. It was nice that you did it for me. And so, yeah, it went quick and smooth and yeah, it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
It totally was.
So great. So great. Well, it has been so great to talk you through all of these things. And I'm sure it helps people to feel like they, understand a little bit more the protocols and everything to go to Hawaii. And it's really not a scary thing. There's a few more hoops to jump through, but it's
once we got there, it was aloha, hang loose, we're having a great time. Who cares what we went through to get here, which kind of was just the anxiety of each of us not knowing about that COVID test, but really in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michele, for talking to me today. And
you're welcome. You're welcome. It was great. Okay.
And we'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review. If you'd like to contact me about a vacation, the best way is to visit my website, sweetdreamstravel.net. To connect on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. See you next time.